Hello everyone, this is Kate Ganem. I'm continuing the interviews of several authors from the Canadian Authors Association, the National Capital branch, and we've done a couple already. And with me now today is Phyllis Bohonis, who has just become an author with a new book, and she'll tell us all about it in a minute. Phyllis, welcome to the show. And how long have you been in the business of writing books?
Well, I've been writing books probably for about 10 years. But had several short stories published, but this is my first novel that I've seen to the end.
Okay, and we'll talk about that in detail. Let's go back to your background and origins. Where do you hail from?
Well, I was born in Estevan, Saskatchewan, but my family moved to Thunder Bay when I was just an infant. So Thunder Bay, actually it was Fort William at the time. And Thunder Bay is my home, and I consider my hometown. I went to school, I was married, and raised my children there.
Okay, and what is your background? What did you study, or what was your profession?
I studied accounting and business administration at Northern College of Applied Arts, and that's what I've worked at. Basically, we've had a few entrepreneurial, my husband and I've had a few entrepreneurial forays but into small business, but accounting and bookkeeping is basically what I do.
Okay, and when did you move to Ottawa then?
We moved to Ottawa in 2002. We did a 7-year stop in Blind River. We semi-retared, ran a little motel there before we fully retired and moved to Ottawa to be with family.
Are you also a poet, or do you have any other talents you want to tell us about?
No, I'm a wannabe poet. I wish I were a poet. I wrote an ode to poets, and that's about as far as my poetry skills go. No, I'm a novelist. I've tried short stories. I've had several short stories published, but I tend to get carried away with words, and the longer stories are my forte.
Okay. And what about the Canadian Authors Association? How long have you been with that organization?
I joined Canadian Authors within a month of moving to Ottawa. So it was 2009, I guess, that I joined in September, and I thoroughly appreciate everything that Canadian Authors Association does for writers, not only in Ottawa but right across Canada.
And you're on the board, aren't you?
I'm on the board, and
are you the president now?
Gonna be. I'll be taking over the helm at the September meeting. Gonna be hard shoes to fill. Sharon Hegel did an excellent job.
So let's look at your book. Can you show us your book?
Certainly.
Yeah, okay, that's Fire
in the Foothills.
In the Foothills,
Yes.
yeah, that's right. Fire in the Foothills. So I have to zoom in on that. On the title anyway. Yes, good. And what's the story about?
The story is about a staid bookkeeper, retired bookkeeper from Peterborough, who goes out to a small town in the foothills of the Canadian Rockies to look after an aunt who's just had a stroke. There she encounters an old rancher who's the town drunk. He's got a very nasty past. Rumor has it he's even served time for murder. So he's really a loose cannon, and she's very staid. So it's quite a reaction when the two meet.
Okay. And the event takes place. I mean, the events are in which part of Canada?
In the foothills of Alberta. Yes. Roughly in the Sundre, Alberta area, if you're familiar with that, northwest of Calgary.
Yes, I've been to Calgary, but not...
Not into the foothills? You haven't lived till you've been to the foothills.
All right. Okay, so tell us about, do you have any plans for any launches of the book?
Yes, I do. I'm going to have my big launch on September 16th in Thunder Bay. And my hometown is welcoming me back with a big bang. They've planned quite a big book launch for me. And then when I come back to Ottawa, I'm having a book launch on September 21st, Saturday. And it's going to be at the Harley-Davidson dealership. And I guess you have to read the book if you really want to know why the book launch is there. But it ties into some of the story in the book, and I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be fun.
Well, that's great to be invited back to your own hometown and be welcome there. I'm sure there'll be a big crowd. Do you expect hundreds of people to be there?
Well, I was told that I better bring a truckload of books, so who knows? I'll be happy with any size crowd, but yes, I've been getting quite a few positive replies, and I'm expecting a good crowd.
Okay, and maybe a little bit more about the sort of books that you have yourself noticed people like to read these days, at least in Canada. What kind of
well, you know, I was
genre do you think that people like the most?
I was at a workshop not long ago in Niagara Falls, and we were told then by one of the big publishing houses from New York that if you were writing erotica or fantasy, her books will get sold right away. Unfortunately, I write more romantic suspense, and my characters in my stories are usually over 50. I like to write about people who are in their autumn years, as I call it. I feel they still have a lot of living to do, but they've had a lot of life experience behind them, and they're interesting characters to write about.
Well, I mean, 50 is young these days.
Oh, I
anyway.
know. Most books, though, tend to have the protagonists in their 20s or 30s, and I just think there's a niche, especially with the baby boomers coming into their own right now. I think there's a real
And I think
niche.
they are the people who buy and read books because the younger generation are too busy doing Facebook and other stuff.
That's right. Yes, they're into electronics rather than books.
Okay, well, wonderful. So let's have another look at the book cover, and thank you very much, Phyllis, for coming to do this interview.
Thank
and
you.
good luck with your book.
Thank you very much, Case.